Good morning, everybody. Hello. Today some information concerning pottery of Nile Valley in Egypt. Because I worked at many sites starting from Edfu up to Delta. I did examination of pottery, mineralogical examination of pottery, and I collected all data, and now I like to present some information maybe useful for ceramologists, people working in pottery problems. We will start from Upper Egypt, site Heraconpolis, near Edfu. I was there with American mission, and I did examination of pottery of cultures Nagada 2 and Nagada 3 and other, but these were mostly examined, and now some informations. It looked like this pottery, the age is about 3,000 and 3,000 some hundred years BC. BC. It look like this, and broken fragments of wall of vessels look like this. As you see, the pottery was burnt, fired at various conditions, oxidating and reducing. There is part reduced without oxygen minerals, oxides, and were completely burned at oxidated atmosphere, and some pieces, not too much, were burned at reducing atmosphere. And there are photos made using binocular microscope, and there are only structures shown. Typical sediments of Nile, probably Sahaba 1 and Sahaba 2 formations were used for preparation of the clay, of ceramic mass for production of pottery 3,000 years BC. And you see that there is granulation is very similar. Sometimes is added material, organic material. There are arrows. Some grains are rounded, mostly grains are sharp, and there is ceramic mass, Nagada formation, Nagada culture. And the mass, ceramic mass, was prepared with admixture of tempering material represented by quartz grains. And there is some admixtures, there are some admixture of organic compounds. At polarizing light, microscopy, mineralogical, most of ceramic mass examined at mentioned pottery, Nagada 2 and Nagada 3, it looked like this under polarizing light and cross nickels. This part represented by clay minerals, change thermally, but primary it was probably kaolinitic mass, and material for preparation of ceramic raw material was taken from formation, sedimentological, geological formation, Sahaba formation. And next we have the similar material, slightly more oxides. Because of this, the mass is brownish. This is slightly reddish, light brownish, and this is darker. And this mass was prepared with the use of tempering material represented by big rounded grains. And what we may say about genesis of raw materials? Most is represented by this type, fine material, very small grains and small quartz grains, there is 0.1 millimeter, so this material is very fine. And in pottery we may recognize pieces of Theban limestones like these. This means that material in part, raw material in part, was originating from Jebel, western part of Nile Valley, and there are some flakes of muscovite and biotite originating probably from Aswan granite. So these admixtures and other admixtures transported to the Nile Valley, to sediments of Nile Valley, used later like as ceramic mass, were transported from East Desert, where we have many various rocks, metamorphic and magmatic, etc. So for determination of material present at valley of the Nile, we have no these various types of rocks present at East Desert, because some material was transported to Nile Valley from east, and some part of material were transported from west, so from area of presence of Theban limestones, many years in Paleocene, probably covered by red soils, so-called terra rossa, and this material were deposited it was washed out from Jebel to the Nile Valley, and this material primarily is represented, this clay material, terra rossa, is represented by poorly crystallized kaolinite, containing some admixture of very small granules of concretions of manganese minerals and iron minerals. From East Desert, it was admixture mostly of grains of various rocks. Let's go to the region of Luxor, West Bank, Coptic pottery, tomb 1152, near Deir el-Bahari, investigated by my friend Tomek Górecki, and I was included to the group working there. So by the way, we did examination of part of pottery. This is dynastic pottery from this tomb, and this is Coptic pottery, represented mostly by bottom parts of amphoras. If you see, it looks like small vessels, but this is only the bottom part of amphoras. This pottery walls, internal walls of these vessels, of this amphora, were covered with organic substances similar to amber, organic waxes, because most probably in these amphoras were transported various liquids, wine and beer and water and other, because this tomb is localized at Theban limestones, was reutilized dynastic tomb from Middle Kingdom by Coptic peoples. And there are pictures of broken walls of vessels. As you see, they were burned at various conditions, oxidated and later reduced and later oxidated, slowly, slightly not oxidated, and full fully oxidated atmosphere. At some vessels of Coptic time were collected hematite, mineral used as red pigment for paintings. Probably this use of hematite present at Esna shells under the Theban limestones. There are concretions with hematite were used. These minerals, hematite and other, were used long time for paintings in temples and in tombs, etc. And later Coptic priests collected this material, melted, and probably sell or it was exchange for wine and bread and other things used as type of money. Under the microscope, picture of ceramic mass of Coptic pottery from this tomb look like this. There is a large broken wall, picture of broken wall of Coptic pottery. This is internal wall of vessel where was collected hematite, and we have rests of hematite on the internal wall of vessels. As you see, pottery was burnt, was fired at reducing atmosphere, and probably at the end of firing the oven was open, and because of presence of oxygen, these parts were oxidated to the red color, but the central part of broken wall was still black. There was no reaction of minerals, there was no oxidation because of presence of oxygen. And pottery, dynastic pottery, all kingdom, site Tel El-Farka in Delta, investigated by the Polish mission under the hand of Professor Ciałowicz. There's plenty of pottery, very well preserved, and ceramic mass, local ceramic clays look like this. They are not composed of kaolinite like in Upper Egypt, but the dominating clay mineral is smectite in Delta. And because of this, the pottery is stable, ceramic is stable at other conditions. Because at Upper Egypt, during heating, kaolinite is transformed to isotropic minerals, and next to mullite, to synthetic phase present in porcelain and other. In Lower Egypt, in Delta, dominating smectite is the mineral stable up to temperature about 900. Next, when the heating is continued and temperature of firing is higher than 900, the ceramic mass start to be rebuilt to isotropic components like kind of glass, and later to slag. And because of this, inside we discovered, archaeologists discovered vessels which were overheated, and substance, clay mass, was changed to the kind of porous slag. In mass of ceramic mass of Delta, in vessels, we observe relics of ash after burning of of wheat. So there are small fragments of organic matter added intentionally to the ceramic mass before burning. This organic mass is burned before addition to the ceramic mass, so it's added kind of ash, organic ash after burning of substance, organic substance. There are between this dominating type of ceramic mass, looking like this, there are vessels made using silts of delta with a mixture of quartz grains, because these silts of delta are very fat. So in ceramological terminology, very fat, so it's necessary to use tempering material, and mostly it was used quartz, present everywhere. And this pottery is of local production, but there are some vessels, imports, and in ceramic mass they contain grains of rocks not present in delta. There are, for example, relatively big grains of weathered feldspars. There are big grains of relatively big grains of magmatic rocks, various, and of course, independently on the shape of vessels, this admixture of these minerals is document of imports. There are documents of transportation of these vessels from other parts than nearest surrounding area, from East Desert, maybe from Sinai, maybe from Jordan. These things are not recognized to the end, and it's necessary continue the examination. Now I like to show you, because we visit pottery workshop in Delta where pottery is produced, and I like to show you how it's made now, how is pottery made now with the use of local delta raw materials. So it's simple to imagine how it was in past, because maybe not simple but more easy to imagine how it was in past, because some raw materials in delta as well as in Nile Valley and even at upper were used thousands of years. The raw material was collected for production of the potteries since Neolithic, since were produced first vessels up to present time. So look how they produce now vessels. I will not make comment.
بص في كاميرا الفيديو دي والله هتيجي في الجرايد انت هناك.
Narobi garnek.
I think it is the same system in ancient Egypt. Yeah. ازاي؟ بقول لكم خبراء اجانب بيشوفوا طريقه تصنيع الفخار اهو. علماء في الاثار دول، علماء في الاثار، فبنروح نفحر بنلاقي فخار. فعايزين يشوفوا الطريقه اللي كان بتصنع بيها الفخار في مصر دي.
يفرجهم بقى على الكل.
عشان يصور بس.
بركي.
عمود ولا بيه؟
في شكل وش؟ هتفخر عايز التوزين ولا الزرع شيء.
والتلوين والحاجات دي برضه
لا تلوين.
اتفضل.
فارق في الرقم لان ما معيش يوم عشان انزل اعمل لهم يعني شويه ديكور مش
ديكور برضه
مش جلابيه كده. عندك
عندنا ابو سام عندنا اجيب لك جلابيه انا
عايزين كام نموذج كده، كام نموذج عشان ايه؟ عشان
تعالى وين؟
اجري روح
Zaganki.
احمد صالح بقى لو عنده علم هو انا خليك انت منوره بتفتح الباب بس طبعا جميع لغه ومسافر المانيا النهارده اخر مره. دي مناظر ثانيه بقى.
بدأ انا كان عامل حاجات صغيره.
ممكن تعمل نموذج صغير برضه خالص زي الحاجه اللي بتتحط فيها البرفان كده.
عندك واحده صغننه في قلب
زي بتاع البرفان كده. ممكن تصير هون هيك بريبير سمول بوت which is put inside the bottom هو البريبيرا.
Layer from where they collect clay.
بتجمع البتاع ده منين الطينه دي؟
ده من اللي بتيجي من البحر.
This clay come from this clay come from the sea.
From the sea?
From the sea. من البحر دي متأكد؟ بحر ولا ايه؟
من البحر.
بحر اللي هو البحيرة بتاعتها.
كانت اراضي
ها؟
كانت ارض
Or they come this clay come from sometimes from the field so. ده طعم.
عشان مسكوت زيهم.
دي الأولى أول ما بتتعمل.
دي added the color. لذيذ. يعني ما بتضيفش حاجة للطينة خالص.
لا. الخلط بتاعهم تراب احمر. اقوم احطها عليها دي كده. ماشي اعمل لها الود.
The neck and after this ears from here.
Aha.
الحاجات دي بتدخل التاريخ هناك. هم جايين يشوفوا يعني ديت زي المصريين القدماء زي ما كانوا بيعملوا كده ولا يعني
Przygotowywali gliny, kawałki zniesień już dla garsarzy.
على الله يا نبي.
على الله صحات ربنا.
على الله. يا رب لك الحمد.
هدي؟
اه.
اها.
الاسبوع ما تعيش تعمل.
لا ازاي؟
بيعمل له كل اللي بتعمله بتخدمه فيه اعملها له اعمله كده.
يعني انا بتحط لها تراب يعني.
اللي هي بتحطها في كل حاجه.
Widzicie. Wielki dzban smalowany.
صلاة على النبي. صلاة على النبي. صلاة على النبي. ماشي يا بركة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا بركة. يا بركة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا بركة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
في حجر جوز دخان.
طيب الحمد لله شكرا لك. احمدك واشكر فضلك على الله.
Szykran.
ماشي.
Tu mamy takie miseczki. A tam większe miseczki.
لو واحد هو المناطق. يا مرة صور طب يعمل بحث ولا هم علماء آثار يشوف يعني الحاجات اللي بتتعمل دلوقتي زي القدماء المصريين ولا لا؟
امال انت منين؟
سنة في ناس كتير بيجوا زمان في الصورة دي بس بيعملوا بحث بقى. أنا بطلب منك المهنة أصلها إيه؟ الشغل إزاي؟ بيشوف بيشوف التصفية وشوف تعمل إزاي كده والخامات اللي بتشتغل منها وبتيجي منين ومش عارف إيه
أبد.
Pięknie malowany dom.
Się dopiero uczę.
Mariusz praktykuje. O, na 4 ręce to coś zrobicie może.
Zaraz ja też zrobię tutaj coś pięknego.
Oj, walić się to na boki okropnie.
To takie ma być.
Krzywe. To miał strasznie silną jedną nogę.
صنايع 100 عملوا بتاع
طفت سجاير.
لا مفهوم زي كده ينفع يشتغل على طول. لو واحد التاني بينزل الحجر مش هيدوره. عمره ما مدوره. أول مرة.
يشتغل قبل كده فين؟
Gdzie gliną zaraz rzucać po oczach.
شوف عايز اعملها
O, Mariusz, ale dzisiaj kręci.
Tak.
طيب طيب
Piłeś wczoraj. Piłeś, nie klej. Nie kleiłeś, wypij.
Dobra, zmiana Krzysiu.
Dobra?
روما تتعامل
مش مشكلة مش
Krzysiu zabiera się do roboty.
لما هو على الدنيا يعمل
Chyba prawą nogą to się napędza, nie lewą.
ميه حط
Jeszcze wypić musisz przedtem wody trochę, żeby ci źle wyszło.
ماشي 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 اي حاجه
Strasznie malutkie ci coś wyszło takie.
سبع واحد سبع واحد
الدواء لف الراجل لف على الفاضي
الصبع منهم بريك ولا الجهاد مش
اي حاجه ايوه
Masz przygotowane teraz. To na ściągach, pracujesz na ściągach kolegi, słuchaj. To jest. Występujesz w roli napędu w tej chwili wyłącznie.
استنى تو وعايز يعمل
في غزاله في السن اللوية
وعايز يصير اي حاجه
عايزين نشوف الفخار اللي بيلاقوه زي طريقه الصناعه.
Postaw sobie to, Krzysiek.
Let's look for the ceramic mass used at this workshop of pottery workshop. As you see, it's fine material, mostly smectite, small grains, some small feldspars. It's interesting because there are sharp grains of plagioclases, probably of volcanic origin. Some volcanic ashes fly to the delta and were deposited, and because of this, clay material is represented mostly by smectite, not by kaolinite, because during the process of weathering of limestones is produced terra rossa, red clay composed mostly of kaolinite in delta, probably from time to time covered with water because it's very low in morphology, 2-3 meters above sea level. Minerals at alkaline water sea conditions, they were transformed to smectite. And in this pottery present at this workshop, I show you there are relics of organic substance, this burnt ash. And there are some informations collected in the conclusion, so please, if you may read this, please read. I will not read this for you. Some information is interesting. I think that it's necessary to see other presentation in YouTube. My presentation concerning clay minerals of Nile Valley, starting from Idfu up to Delta. At various places, clay was collected and examined, and in this presentation there are details concerning mineral and grain size composition. So, thank you very much. Sorry because of this movie, but machines are working their own way. Very sorry. Thank you very much. Thank you and welcome for next meeting.